Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And this is your host, Jimmy Street. And today I have a very special guest and old friend, the Dragon, Scott Lee. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother, man. I'm glad to hear from you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
you having me on the show.
It's been too long. I've been waiting to get you on, and we've just needed to have you on the show much sooner than this. So I'm sorry it's taken this long, brother, but welcome to the show.
Man, I was gonna give you guys a shout out, man. I think what you guys are doing with this is awesome because you're paying tribute to the old school, and you're also staying up to date on the current status of the product and the business and everything. And I think I just want to give you guys a shout out and say, hey, you guys are doing a wonderful, wonderful job. So keep it up.
Well, dude, coming from you, man, that really means a lot, brother. One thing that I'll say is I remember first meeting you. You came into the record store that I was working at with our old buddy Kenny, and Kenny Pack, Ken Steele, we'll call him by his real name, right? Ken Steele. And he was always coming into the Christiansburg Mall, and then he would bring in guys, and then you were in there with him, and then it felt like from then on you two were like the package deal. And it was always good to see you, and it was always good to see him because Kenny, it's funny, y'all would come in and you would talk more to me about wrestling than Kenny would, because Kenny wanted to talk rock and roll or heavy metal. Yeah, he was all about the music, but you would actually talk some wrestling to me. And once I found out y'all were wrestlers, it was over from there, man. It was like I'm talking to these guys nonstop now. So
yeah, man, that seems like it's been forever ago. But yeah, I remember that, man. That's old times. But yeah. But yeah, Kenny was. I mean, you take these road trips with him, going to shows and stuff. I mean, some 80s rock band, something will come on. He'll tell you the name of the band. He'll tell you the
right.
every bass player, the whole 9 yards, every member of the band, when the song came out.
Yes.
Everything. He was just he loved the music. You want to know a song, a band, you want to know anything about it? Ask Kenny. He'll tell you.
Totally. And I was working in the record store, and he knew more than me, So, and it was fun. I remember him talking about Y&T all the time, man. He loved Y&T. He loved so many good bands, but one band he always talked to me about was Y&T. He was like this unknown, not unknown, but underground kind of heavy metal band that really didn't get their props. But dude, Kenny thought they were the best, and to know, I just miss talking about Y&T with my buddy, So. So let me ask you this. How did you meet Kenny?
I started over at Jimmy Valiant's BWC Boogies Wrestling Camp back probably in 2002. And I was probably training there for about 6 or 7 months, and just knew everything, just kind of new to everything, green as it can be, and just training. I was still in training, and Kenny just happened to been just popped in one day. He was just there. And he had came over to me at one point, and while we were in the middle of training, and introduced himself to me. And matter of fact, another guy, Douglas J. Wentworth, went by Chance Dollar, and also Douglas J. Wentworth. He also I think he's the one who introduced me to Kenny, now that I'm thinking about it. And just telling me that Kenny was a promoter, and had a training facility at the time in Floyd, Virginia.
Yeah.
And just to say, hey, this is a guy that's promoting shows, and if you want to, get your name out there and start working, talk to this guy. And I did. And Kenny invited me to come up to his training facility, and I went up the very next week, Saturday afternoon, and this is no cut to Boogie and no cut to BWC or anything like that. It was just a different time then as it is now. And
right.
But I swear I got in the ring with Kenny in the training facility that Saturday, and worked out with him in that ring, I swear, for like, I mean, it was several hours. It was 2 or 3 hours because Kenny didn't mess with you. I mean, he didn't play the training. He was consistent, constant, 2 or 3 hours straight. You get tired, suck it up, keep going. I mean, he was just, you know, it was very hardcore training. And I swear I learned more in that session than I did the 6 months I was at that camp. And I was sitting there in my head going, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
This is it right here. And I still stayed with the camp until I graduated through that, but I still stayed with Kenny on the training, and the rest was history. I mean, we hit it off. I mean, we just really hit it off, and from that point, man, he got me on the road. We traveled all over the place, from Tennessee, Carolina, West Virginia. I mean, we were everywhere, almost every weekend. And honestly, he started me off with me and him as tagging. And we became Devastation Incorporated.
I know. I love it. I love it.
And I mean, I swear, just over the years of being in that ring with him, you know, him constantly in my ear. I'll be in that ring working, whatever I'm doing, and, you know, he'll be on the other side. Take the arm, do this. You know, he'll be coaching me along, and I swear I learned so much just having that. And he didn't have to do that, but he did.
Right,
you know, and,
right.
But I mean, yeah, that's how we originally met. I mean, and that's how pretty much everything got started with us.
That's cool, man. Now tell me this: were you already a badass in karate? I mean, what do you? I'm sorry. Let me make sure that I'm clear on this. What is your specialty as far as a walking weapon?
No, as a shoot man, I do. I've been doing martial arts now for over 30 years. I currently, all I do now is I teach martial arts. I have 3 different martial arts studios here in Virginia.
Nice.
And, you know, but on up to that point, you know, I was very blessed. I trained all the time, martial arts. I was doing competitions. At that point, I had won 5 or 6 world championships at that point. I was inducted in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. Won several national events. I mean, I went as far as I could go. At that point that I felt in martial arts, and other than just teaching and mentoring other students, kids, adults, and building that business. But as far as me personally, I felt like, okay, this is as far as I can go. And pro wrestling, man, I was always a fan ever since I was a kid. You know, sitting on my grandpa's lap, sitting on my father's lap, watching NWA and watching the AWA and watching the old school WWF and watching pro wrestling, and just loved it. And then was like, oh man, I want to do this one day. And at that time, I really didn't know. Didn't know how to get into the business. Like, it wasn't like around my area. Training schools wasn't available, and or anything legitimate, put it that way, wasn't around. And so just a buddy of mine came to me one day and said, hey, I want to go and check out this wrestling camp up in Shawsville, Virginia, at Jimmy Valiant's camp. And he said, would you like to go and check it out with me? And I went up there just as a support for him. Like, I wasn't even planning on getting in the ring. Didn't even, I just kind of wanted to go as support. And
you were there, so they didn't shoot on him, right? You were like, no, I'm just kidding.
No, but yeah, he got in the ring and did great. And I was watching it a little bit, and I got to talking to Boogie. Me and Boogie hit it off too, and I was just like, you know what, I can do this. I mean, I felt like martial arts. I mean, certain things, I couldn't go any much farther other than teaching and mentoring and maybe rank, but not as far as championships. I did all that, so
that's
I wanted
awesome.
another challenge. And I wanted another challenge, and that's pretty much how that happened.
So are you what are you like? I'm so stupid when it comes to this, and I'm sorry, it's no disrespect. Are you a full degree black belt? I mean, you're to the end of that, like you cannot go any higher?
Well, I can't. I'm considered a grandmaster. So you have different levels. I always tell everybody, like, in black belt category, like, we looking at it as kind of like college. It's like the black belt is you've earned you're the highest rank of the advanced. You're now a black belt. You're, and then there's degrees and levels on a black belt. And I always tell everybody, like, your 5th degree is considered a master. You master the art. In theory, for me, it's like there's such a thing as mastering art. You're always going to be, of course, every day.
Just like wrestling,
but
right?
Right. Yeah, it's your years of experience, the knowledge you've obtained, the training that you've done, and then and when you earn what's considered a 7th degree, you're considered a grandmaster, and then there's levels up to the highest you can make is a 10th degree. And
Yeah,
only
okay.
a very few select people traditionally will make that. I mean, you've got to be, 90s, 80s or 90s. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of age to that as well before a lot of people make that.
Gotcha.
And I've been blessed. I started at this very, very young, been training nonstop, and I've earned a 7th degree in martial arts. So I still have a few more ranks to go. But yeah, I mean, again, just because I'm a 7th degree I don't mean like I've learned everything, can't learn anymore. It was just the accomplishments of the championships I won was more of a, there's nothing left there. But the attaining the knowledge, the instruction of mentoring my students, the continuing to better myself, I still have that.
That's awesome.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's still room to growth.
Yeah, that's awesome. 7th degree. That's pretty badass right there. I'm telling you. All right. So your gimmick then was a no-brainer, right? That was just like that was almost given to you since you were young, basically, right? I mean,
well, yeah. And I'm just going to tell you, it was funny that when I first started in wrestling, Kenny just kind of said, you know what? He said, I want to put you in a mask. I want you to wrestle. You're going to be called El Scorpiano. I don't know for sure if you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
I said, what? And he said, yeah, we're gonna. He said, I want to do that. So I was this lucha character that couldn't speak Spanish for nothing, but I had to go out and make it work. I had to go out and make it, make it comical and make it work. And it was more or less of this is you to get your feet wet to kind of learn, this is before me and him really got on the road and started tagging. This is kind of the character that, he gave me for when I first started. And so later on into it, it was like, okay, I think you're ready to be you. Now it's time to be the Dragon. It's time to be Scott Lee.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was just Scott Lee. And, the Dragon kind of just, I don't know, somehow along the way, it just kind of just fell in. And I think it's because of the years of when I did my character, I would come out, dressed like a legit, like I am every day. When I'm teaching my own martial arts classes, I'm in the karate gi. I'm out there with the black belt, the karate gi. And some people at one point were thinking, all right, is he ripping off Ricky Steamboat? No, he's actually, no, this is for real. This is, this is his shoot. This is his job.
Right.
This is what he does.
Right.
And
right.
So it kind of fell in, but also one of my favorite wrestlers of all time was the Dragon, was Ricky Steamboat. So at the same time, I'm kind of paying homage to Ricky Steamboat, but at the same time, this is a legitimate shoot for me, and somehow the Dragon just stuck. I mean, it just came about and stuck.
I mean, it's just so perfect to me. It makes total sense. You just, that's a classic thing, man, so I love it. So obviously NICW, Kenny's got NICW. I remember the first shows he started running in North Carolina, and that's when old Omar Al-Kazan came in on the shows, and we were working down there in Low Gap, North Carolina. And Kenny always said, man, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And he was so angry sometimes, but dude, we had a blast working down there. Now, kind of go in before that, when I was living in Virginia, I actually would come to watch your matches. Y'all would wrestle, and I would see Kenny working with Boris, and you would be working maybe with Calypso's kid or somebody else, or you would be tagging with Kenny. And then I just remember all these matches and a lot of fun. And at the time, I am smart, half smart, whatever, but I thought I was way smarter than I was. And I was cheering the heels and booing the baby faces. And I know now that that's no fun, because to me, that's just like the jerk in the crowd that's making it annoying, but
you're making it interesting for the fans, though. That's the good thing. The fans are like, wait a minute,
Yeah, this guy's a jerk over here. So, there is an element to that, but I wish I would have played along a little more, but Kenny, to me, I just could not boo y'all. You know what I mean? It was just impossible. So, but anyway. So I just remember those times, and then y'all ended up actually coming out to Nashville to hang out with me, and y'all would stay out there, and my son, and we would actually, go around the town and see the sights, and if I was working, y'all would kind of go do something. And anyway, I remember those times, man, and it meant so much to me that y'all would come out there and actually do that. And did we ever end up going to a rock show? We didn't, did we?
We did, and we talked about it a lot, about trying to find something and do something. And I don't think, we were never able to do that. I know that's still something that I would still like to do, just to pay homage to him with it, as I know something he would, would have wanted as well.
Oh, definitely.
No, we weren't able to do that. I know we got a chance to tour around down there. That was one of my favorite times. I've been talking to my wife about, if I get a chance to wrestle in Tennessee or get a chance to talk to Dyron or talk to you or talk to somebody, and it's always like, man, I tell you what, that Nashville trip, though, that was one of my funnest road trips because, we had a lot of fun on the road trip coming down there, and then, was able to do the double shots that, for me, it was a lot of experience, just doing both of those shots back to back. What was that promotion? I know Saul was one of them.
NWA main event.
NWA main event, yeah.
NWA main event and Saul, and
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
I got that meant the world to me that I got y'all booked on those shows, man. Really did,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thank you for that. Going back, it's like a year. I don't think I ever said thank you. Thank you for that as well, because that was a lot of, it helped me with a lot of experience. It helped me with, just working at other places, just having the overall experience. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, brother, my pleasure. Thank you for coming out. I mean, dude, I was always talking about y'all anyway. So it was like y'all were imaginary people that I was making up until y'all actually came out there. And then they were like, okay, this guy actually knows some people. He's not full of crap. He's worked, but because any guy can go in and if he can talk enough and has a decent enough gimmick, which the gimmick was created by Kenny, no question on that. You can get booked and then they'll figure you out and then you'll never get booked again, But when Kenny came out there and you came out there with him, it was like, okay, finally, this is real. Jimmy's not a moron lion, He's actually really got people that knew him before he started working here in Nashville. So, and I remember, Kenny and I, we would talk to sometimes like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we would always talk about working for the shows, and then finally got y'all out there. And then I can't remember if Kenny got mad at something about something at Saw or something, and that one was the most disappointing to me because I was closer to that promoter, but I don't know what it was, but I can't remember.
I don't for sure the names of the workers or what happened. If I recall right, I think some of the workers on the main event on the first show that we did, I think some of them were coming to Kenny asking advice about certain things.
That's right.
The promoter cared. If I understood right, I think it was some type of jealousy or something that happened. And I don't understand why that happened, because you'd think you'd want the guys to come to the veterans in the locker room to say, hey, what do you think about my match? What should I do here? What should I do?
Yeah.
And I think that rubbed them the wrong way. And I think somehow, some way that's something with that is what happened. We never quite understood the full legitimate. Anyway, I got to work the Fall event. I know Kenny didn't, but it sucked because I wanted him to share that experience with him. But at the same time, man, wrestling is something. I mean, it's just it's something. Not just wrestling, but I guess it's just the people in it. I mean, it just
the egos, man.
The egos. The egos in the business is just crazy. And if somebody goes to somebody and says, "Hey, what do you think? I need your advice," and somebody else don't think that they're getting that rubbed, then they get offensive. I mean, I don't get it. But if I'm mistaken, right, I think it's been a lot of years. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But don't quote me on that.
No, dude, I think you're exactly right, because I'd been putting y'all over hardcore, and then obviously when you get there, I didn't realize that people were listening to me talk about y'all so much. And Kenny especially, then they go talking to Kenny because they're like, well, Jimmy's, got something going here, so I might as well take something from that and go talk to his guy, and I do remember that now, and they got upset about that. And then, man, now remind me, who did you wrestle at main event? Do you remember that? Was it
me and Kenny, we tagged against, and I can't think of the name. Was it the guy to go by the Medic? What was his name?
That's right, Psycho Medic, and
I can't remember who his partner was, but I remember we weren't. Yeah,
because I managed y'all and that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at Saw, who did you work? Do you remember? Was it can't remember that.
Man, the guy was good. I can't think of his name. He's a real short guy. He came out with a cowbell.
Anthony Wayne.
Wayne. Anthony. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Y'all had a great match.
He's great. Yeah, we had a heck of a match. That was one of my favorite matches, and it was just to me, it's like one of those matches that you do, and at the end of it, you walked out there going, you know what? I think both of us looked good. Both of us had a great showing, but both of us were better after that match. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Sometimes you get in there and work with different people, and you're just like, okay, it's over with, but don't ever think think about anything after it, but after that match, certain matches you do, and you go, you know what, both of us are better. And to me, that's what it's about. You know, we both had a great match. The crowd loved it. And I couldn't think of the name until, I mean, it's been a long time ago. But
yeah, man. Well, he turned into a referee, actually, and actually is a great referee. But he actually is a great wrestler, and a lot of people don't know that are following the current scene out there, which it's not as much as it used to be. But during that time, dude, that was the era. 3 out of the 4 promoters that I worked for at that time are now gone, brother. So it's crazy. Like, and you know, the guy that was booking at the time at Saw, who had just taken the place over, had a real problem. And then the promoter who owned the place didn't really get a chance to talk to Kenny, I think, or they did talk, but he wasn't booking the show. And I think Kenny, dude, it would have been killer if Kenny could have come out there and booked that thing. Oh my God, that thing would still be making money. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Kenny had a hand in booking, man. He knew what he was doing, who to put people with. He knew story. He was very good at booking.
He's a king of gimmicks. I've known legends, bro. I've known we all know legends, and you know legends just like I know legends, and none of them have the ideas that Kenny does. I'm saying it, man. Some of them think they do, but they don't. Not like Kenny, man. Kenny had so many great gimmicks. But y'all came out to Nashville, got to wrestle, and then Kenny came back, and y'all started working up in West Virginia, right? Eventually.
Yeah, we had worked for different promotions up in West Virginia over the years. I mean, Mountain State, NWA Mountain State was one we worked for, and we worked a lot in Hinton and Oak Hill, and I mean, we were all over the place up there. And then, the last couple of years before he passed away, we worked for USA Championship Wrestling. With Joe Brody was the booker, and that I'm getting teared up now thinking about that one, because that was one of the last matches that we did together.
Now tell me about that. Tell me about that last match. How did that go? What was the story with that one?
We worked, I want to say that was in Princeton, West Virginia. And the match was me and Kenny, Devastation Incorporated, versus Martial Law and AWOL. They've been around for many, many years in West Virginia.
Yeah,
and
heard the names. Yeah,
he was having some issues with his foot around that point. He was, I honestly, if I recall, actually, I'm not going to actually do. Yeah, he had a partial amputation on his right foot. Part of his toe with that bone and everything, that right side of your foot, he had that. He was just getting that healed up really, really good, and he was determined to get back in his disc to be able to wrestle. Yeah. And he's kind of recovered from it for a little bit, and we did that match, had a great match in front of that crowd, and it was right after that, the foot would never heal like it's supposed to. He just kept getting the blisters, kept getting wounds kept coming up, and when the doctors think that they had it, they never would heal, and it led into the blood infection. And of course, he passed away from all that. But the last 2 years, last year or two, man, he just only thing
in and out of the doctor.
He constantly in and out of the doctor, and he was determined, no matter if they took his whole, he didn't care. Whatever happened, he wanted to have another run. He wanted to have at least one more match, and to be able to go out on his own terms. And it's just sad he wasn't able to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
because on June 11th, 2021, man, I saw the news on Facebook, and then I shot you a message, and I was literally out shopping for a mattress, and I text you, and you're like, yeah, bro, it's real. And I don't know all the details yet, but it's real. And I literally broke down, bawling like a baby in a damn mattress store. And I'm thinking about it right now, and it's hard not to. I tell you, man, when somebody like that is in your life, it's like a big brother. I always called him dad, but it was really like he was a big bro. You know what I mean? And I know you called him dad too, because that is your literal wrestling dad. He is definitely, if he had a son, and I'll even claim this, I'll be his little brother, but I'm saying you were definitely his wrestling son, if there was anything, because he really And I don't know if anybody's ever said this to you, and I think I tried to tell you this at the funeral, but honestly, bro, he loved you so much. And I know he loved me, and I know he loved a lot of people, man, but he really, 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 he would have fought the world for you, man. So, it's such an honor to know that you are not only keeping his memory alive by just talking about him right now, but at the same time, you are continuing on his vision and his legacy of NICW. You could have had the opportunity to change it to something else. Now, I know you would never do that, but you know what I'm saying? You could have reset stuff, but what you're doing now is you're technically taking his vision and you're continuing it as a reality, man. And I guess tell me a little bit about how that's going.
Well, going back a little bit, like you said, man, June 11th is a day that I just, I will never forget that phone call. And it was, it took everything. It took a lot out of me. I'm still something like, losing somebody like Kenny is something. Is like, he was, to me, he was, like you said, you helped to hit the nail right there on the head. He was like a father to me. When my father passed away, Kenny kind of stepped in and became a mentor in wrestling. But not just that, man. We actually built businesses together.
Yeah.
And with the martial arts and pro wrestling, he was training people in the academy there, and we built that together. Of course, we had a tennis line that he was running, 6'4", 6'5", 300-pound guy on tennis line. It was he never.
I know it was so crazy, but it was a wrestler.
Yeah. I mean, we built these businesses together. We were together all the time, traveled together, and he was like my father. And one of the things that he would tell me on road trips, and if we were. We'd go to New Orleans together and take trips together. No matter what, we were together all the time. But one of the things he always said was, he'd tell me before he goes, I know it's always Kenny would get very serious and so, like, he joked and laughed and had a good time. Every time you were around him, he would, he was the life of the party, and I kept you laughing and cracking jokes, and that was Ken. I mean, but
right.
He also had, when you had road trips and certain times, he would get real serious, and he would tell me, he was like, I'm going to tell you, he said, with diabetes and with what I got going on, he's had a lot of scary moments where they almost lost him sooner. They almost lost him before we actually, you know what I'm saying, like with the diabetic comas and stuff that he's had. And I mean, he's had a lot of scariness stuff. And he would tell me all the time, he was like, he said, I want you to make me a promise. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, something ever happens to me, you keep this thing running. And I always would tell them, don't worry about that. You don't, but let's not talk about that now,
Yeah, of course.
And that's always stuck with me, because he always told me, he goes, understand, he said, with NICW. And that was the thing, like when he was, he always wanted to run the shows, and he really wished that he could run them more, than what he was able to do because of his health. And me and him were really trying to get NICW to come back. And then COVID, and then of course, he was having some of his health issues were starting more with his foot and everything, and then COVID and all that stuff was kind of coming around, and it was like, we never got to. Of course, he passed away, and right before COVID, actually. But all that stuff happened. We wasn't able to get it and get it back like we wanted to, and but we were working towards that before he passed away. And when he passed away, a bunch of the guys, the wrestlers, the people were keep coming to me like, okay, what's going to happen with NICW? And I said, well, I made him a promise. We're going to keep it going. And so when we started doing all this together, Kenny, a lot of people didn't know this. I'm not very sure if you knew this, but he, right the last couple of years before he passed away, he was a assistant football coach in Patrick County for the Patrick County High School.
Right.
And he also worked in a program called Quest, which he was actually mentoring a lot of the underprivileged and a lot of the kids that were getting in trouble in school and things like that. He was kind of like, I would call it ISS in my day, but this is actually or in-school suspension, but this is actually a program that they had, and he was mentoring people in Patrick County at the schools. And so and of course, Kenny originally was from Patrick County. That's where he was born and raised in Stuart. Lived the last 20 years or so of his life in Floyd, but he was from Stuart. So when we got together to kind of put this thing together, it was a no-brainer. We had to have it in Stuart. And the high school didn't work out just because of all the different things they had going on there. But Stuart Elementary is kind of like where the Quest program, where he worked at mainly at, and they were like, yeah, let's make this happen. So, that's pretty much how we came up with it. And to me, Kenny was, he loved New Orleans. Mardi Gras was his favorite thing. He talked about that all the time.
Oh, I know.
Loved it. That was his thing. He looked forward to going to every year. So we were like, well, this is a no-brainer. NICW is going to present the Mardi Gras Brawl. And
Kenny Pack,
the New Orleans theme, right? Kenny Pack. That
was from Floyd, Virginia. Yeah, but Ken Steele
from New Orleans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it kind of put it together. It all just kind of came together with how do we honor? We don't want to just do a normal wrestling show. How do we do it? And it was like Mardi Gras Brawl. That's your theme. And and everything just started coming together right after that.
Yeah, man. So it is the Mardi Gras Brawl, Stuart Elementary School, Stuart, Virginia, Saturday, March the 25th and 6 p.m. Go ahead and break down the matches for me, Scott.
Okay, yeah. To me, this is one of the best cards. This is everybody on this card overall, were, knew Kenny and wanted to maybe be a part of the show. And but to me, I was very proud when this card came about because I was like, you know what, I haven't seen an independent card with this kind of lineup in many, many years. And we have some of our local guys in the area. We got Josh Vallon. I remember watching this kid train at BWC when he was like 10 or 11 years old. He's got, he's been around for a while from the Rocky Mount area, and he is actually wrestling the mysterious Dark Dragon.
Nice.
I don't know a lot about the Dark Dragon. We've seen him a few times, NICW in Carolina, but just a very mysterious character. I got to kind of keep an eye on this guy too because I know he does martial arts, and kind of steal him a name,
Right? Seriously,
the Dark Dragon, yeah. But just a mysterious. The Dark Dragon is a monster. He's a big guy. So that'd be something the fans wouldn't want to miss. I knew the gauntlet match. There's a gauntlet match for the NICW Cruiserweight Championship. The Cruiserweight Championship is a new championship that is actually being done for the first time here at this event. And between the guys that's on this and some of the top cruiserweights around the Mid-Atlantic area, between John Heartbreak, Bobby Yellow, also known as the Yellow Man, Scott Weddle, Lee Valiant, who, to me is one of the top-notch cruiserweights. I've, had the opportunity of working against him before over the years. He's a great competitor. And
awesome.
then, Casper O'Neill. Casper also was trained under the Machine Ken Steele or Kenny Pack. He was actually one of his proteges many years ago. So these cruiserweights, I know, are going to tear that house down. That's going to be a great match.
Absolutely.
Talked about it earlier. The Legends Grudge match. These guys, have either had a lot of feuds with Ken over the years, or they've teamed together over the years, or they traveled together. This is a 30 years worth of, kind of like I always say, like the history with Kenny Pack, with Kenny Steele right here.
Yeah.
We've got the legendary Eclipso, Eclipso train Ken.
Right.
Who's teaming up with Colonel Spud Wade. And in my opinion, over the years, Colonel Spud Wade, I've been in the ring with him several times. Very tough competitor in himself, a true legend in the business. But I always said that, with my years of knowing Kenny, I'm not for sure what happened 10 years prior to that, but the last 10 years, this is probably, in my opinion, the best feud of the career of Ken Steele.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then they're teaming up with Ruthless Roger Anderson, and Ruthless Roger, legendary tag team with Frank the Tank Parker many, many years ago. So we got the legendary Calypso, Colonel Spud Wade, and Ruthless Roger Anderson with Douglas J. Wentworth against Handsome Jimmy Love, Johnny Blast, and Bruiser Graham, and also with Rolling Thunder. Rolling Thunder has had some health issues over the years and stuff, and I know he's retired from pro wrestling, but he's going to be there in the corner managing Handsome Jimmy Love. I know Jimmy's still at it, been in the business for a long, long time. Johnny Blast, true legend all over the Mid-Atlantic, but he's wrestled a lot in West Virginia. And Bruiser Graham. So to me, this is a lot of history right here in that one Legends grudge match. And
yes, it
a lot
is.
Of grudges that's 30 years of grudges right there, all rolled up into one, but they all had a hand with either training or traveling or working against or with Kenny over the last 30 years,
Oh, yeah. That might be the match of the night right there. So
yeah, I feel like that's going to be, for me personally, as a fan, also seeing that match is probably just the history that's in that, with knowing the history with Kenny Pack and Kenny Steele. That's going to be hard for me to try to to watch that match.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've got JPJ, also been around for many years. Same thing, known Ken for years. He's traveled, I know he's worked a lot of shows with Kenny, versus a newcomer, known as Mayhem. I know Mayhem, from West Virginia. I think he was a protege of, Johnny Blast. So I'm looking forward to seeing that match. I know I've heard he's wrestled some around, but it's the first time that we've had him with NICW. So, that would be, something fans don't want to miss, newcomer coming in with us. And then
oh yeah, and that's a great way. That's a great example of Kenny too, because a lot of times the shows would have the same guys on them all the time in that area. Kenny was all about bringing in new, fresh talent. He was never wanting his shows to be stale. So that's awesome. That basically this is a great example of Kenny too, because he would have brought in people just like that. So
and we got the vacated NICW tag team championships. We have a great tag team. Love them or hate them, coming from West Virginia, the Cuban Assassins.
Classic.
The Cuban Assassin is a legacy that they're paying tribute to their grandfather and their father, the original Cuban Assassin.
That's awesome.
Sure, you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this is his son and grandson. They're from West Virginia. They're currently the international tag team champions out of a promotion in West Virginia. So they're one of the top tag teams around, and they're wrestling one of our Rocky Mount area tag team that's been around. I think they've worked some in NICW, worked a lot with Pure Pro Wrestling. Former tag team champions there. They're known as the Ebony Express and Jimmy Wright and Bad News Holland.
Great tag team.
The awesome tag team coming in, so that'd be something the fans wouldn't want to miss. And then, of course, the Dragon Scott Lee taking on a man that you know pretty well by the Hangman Larry Cooter. Cooter's from Tennessee, but he's traveling. I notice now, like every time I go through Facebook, I see him all over the place. Tennessee, Kentucky, he's all over the place. And I know he's a very tough competitor. So I know for me personally, I'm going to have my work cut out for me in that match, but that's for the vacated NICW Mid-Atlantic Heritage Championship.
That's awesome.
And then, of course,
I tell you, Cooter has really hit the gas on his career too, man. He's really literally, he's not even slowing down. And honestly, I thought he was, he wrestled Kenny at Main Event, and Kenny was giving him the thumbs up immediately. He was like, this kid knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? And sure enough, man, it was just exciting to see that they got to work together at some place. I may be wrong on the place, but I know they got to work together. And then at the same time to see Kenny put Virginia. The thumbs up. That was it. That was it.
Yeah, one of West Virginia shows. That was the Mountain State. Yeah.
And then, he gave Cooter the thumbs up. He said that kid knows what he's doing. And so you've got your hands full with him, but I fully believe you can handle him. But it'll be a great match. Yeah. That'll be the match of the night, in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope so. I know that's going to be a great match. I know myself, I got a lot of work cut out for me there, and for that Mid-Atlantic Heritage Championship's got a lot of history behind that. So I want to be able to honor that championship as well as pay homage to Kenny, who's trained me. And then, of course, the big battle royal, the main event for the vacated NICW Heavyweight Championship. To me, that one is of course, that's the main event, but everybody wants a shot at that heavyweight title, and everybody's going to get an opportunity to go for the heavyweight title. And I would love to be one of the guys that holds it and win it, just like all of us, every man for themselves. So know, it's a great card, and I don't think fans definitely don't want to miss this card.
Right. Well, man, it sounds like a stellar event, and I can't wait. I can't wait for it to happen. I can't wait for it to be a success like I expect it to be. Scott, how can they get tickets, man?
Yeah, but the doors open at 6 p.m. I mean, we do have, I know we have some people traveling from out of town and stuff, so the doors open at 6 p.m., the bell time's at 7 p.m. So there's a lot of, in the Stuart, Patrick County area, we have several businesses that has stepped up and was going to help us out with advanced tickets. So advanced tickets right now is $12 for floor seats, $10 for general admission, which are bleacher seats. And we have in advanced ticket locations, we got there's a coffee shop called Stagecoach. It's off of Main Street in Stuart. They also have they call it the Wagon, kind of like a food truck. And it's out in Patrick Springs area. We have El Rancho on Main Street. There's Lowe's Foods off of Main Street. Boyce Highland Veterinary Services, Little Caesars Pizza.
Yeah.
All of those are places people can go to get the tickets. There's a Ferrystone Park Highway Country Convenience store, and Rudders Martial Arts, which is a sponsor for. I have to give them a shout out. Rudders Martial Arts helps sponsoring the event, as well as Moody's Funeral Services. But Rudders Martial Arts, they have locations in Stuart as well as Bassett and in Floyd, and fans can reach out to them if they're in those areas, and all of these places have advanced tickets. And I always tell people too, like if you're from out of town, come in and not near those places, and all they got to do is give me a call or reach me out on Facebook or something, and I'll definitely can mail some tickets out to people or whatever they need if they're coming from a different place and they're not able to get these advanced tickets here in Patrick County, Stuart area. But they can also pick tickets up at the door. We'll definitely have tickets at the door as well.
Okay, awesome. And I'm going to have the event posted in the @GMBM PW Facebook group. So we'll definitely be able to link from there to that. So if you guys, can't find where you're looking for, go ahead and click on the @GMBM PW Facebook group, and I'll make sure it's on there and it'll be pinned at the top. So that way they can, click on it quickly there. But anyway, dude, I mean, we could keep going and talking a million days, but we will have you back on the show very soon, brother. This is literally just for this event to honor our buddy. So that's why I wanted you on here, man. I guess with that being said, man, I really hope everybody comes out and supports this great event. First of all, if you didn't know Kenny, go out for the wrestling. It's going to be incredible, top to bottom card, man. I'm just excited to see those title belts, man. That was what Kenny is so proud of, is he got those made. And we're talking high quality, gorgeous title belts. There isn't another promotion in the area. I'm talking, you would have to go to practically AEW to find a more beautiful title than what you all have there. So I'm excited to see those in use too, because that's one of Kenny's legacies, right?
Well, no, and that's one of the things he's always proud of. I mean, the early days of NICW, we've had the belts have always been top notch. In the custom made, and then as everything has progressed and gotten better, the championship, especially the heavyweight titles, one of my favorite looking titles, and the Mid-Atlantic title, are two of my favorite looking titles that we have. But I mean, he always wants, even though we're independent promotions, he didn't, he wanted to do it the right way. He wanted to pay homage to NICW is kind of based on the Mid-Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and he always, from their setup to how he runs everything, the belts, because the belts are the props, but it gives you the old school feeling. And I like, I don't keep up much with the WWE stuff and things like that. I just never been a fan of their belts now.
Me either.
Look to me like, I mean, the old school, style, those belts were championships, and now they're like toys. And he's like, I don't want to do that. I want NICW. This is pro wrestling, and we're going to keep the tradition of Mid-Atlantic Championship and pro wrestling alive. And so I mean, the fans come out and check this out. I mean, it's like not giving it a cliche, but I mean, you come out and watch it and enjoy it. You'll enjoy it, and just see old school pro wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I don't think it can be said better than that, brother. Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Like I said, this is going to be a special bonus episode that will literally drop as soon as I get it finished here. So ready to go, and you'll be able to hear the show very soon. So anyway, brother, thank you for coming on. I can't wait to see you again soon, and just have a great show, man. Excited to hear all about it.
Appreciate you having us, man. Thank you.
All right, Scott, take care.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you later.
This has been a James Rock Street production.